Welcome to our very first episode of Drop In. Each week, we dive into a topic about our drinking water and talk about ways to use water wisely. Our Know Your H2O question for this week is, what appliance or fixture uses the most water in your home? We'll reveal the answer later. I'm Melissa Levo, Water Conservation Program Manager with the Saving Water Partnership. We are a group of 18 water utilities in the Puget Sound region that offer tips, tools, and rebates to help our customers preserve our region's water for future generations. In a moment, I'm going to be joined by my co-host Jourdan. She's from the Cedar River watershed. So our first show is going to be talking about how we use water at home and how we might be using water differently, given the current state of the world. And I think Jordan's about to join us and introduce herself. Hey, Jourdan.
Hi, Melissa. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing? It's so good to see you. I love your glasses.
Thank you. Seeing clearly into 2020 as we figure out new ways to connect to people. So it's my new vision.
Yeah, it is certainly a challenge.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So like I said, I thought a good topic for our first show would be to talk about where we're using water at home. You know, I'm a water geek. I think about water all the time. And one of the things about the situation we're in is that people are spending a lot more time at home. So we might be using water differently, given how different our daily lives are.
Okay. Well, that's true. So I'm Jourdan Keith, and I work up at the Cedar River Watershed Education Center in North Bend, and I'm a watershed education specialist. So I love to talk about this too. So two geeks happy about it. I know people are using a lot more water, hopefully washing their hands. Hopefully, well, in my case, I'm cooking more, so I'm doing more dishes. I have to be conscious to turn off the water
Yeah.
while doing the dishes, as
Yeah.
well as washing my hands.
I think a lot of people are taking up hobbies that use more water. I know a number of my neighbors started a garden for the first time ever. My other neighbor started brewing, which uses a lot of water too. So there's like things people are doing just because we're like in this situation. Um,
I haven't taken up any new hobbies, but my plants, my in-home plants do appreciate the more attention and more water, and so yeah, I
yeah,
guess there are a lot of ways. What are some of the things that you think about that are the biggest concerns of how people might be using more water since we're staying home so much?
yeah. From a water conservation standpoint, you know, one like some of the practical things, like actually flushing your toilet a lot. You know, you think about it's kind of like a weird thing. I think about toilets a lot in water conservation. We'll find out why later. Um, but you know, normally you'd be at work all day, and instead you're at home. So there's like all those really practical things. You know, but maybe to counteract that, it's possible people are showering less because we all have this like sick around us now, right? You know, so maybe people are like, not worth my time. Who knows? Um, but you know, I will say that what we've seen on a system level when we're looking at water bills is that we can see that there is actually a shift of water use from commercial like restaurants and businesses to residential like in your home. So we can see that change in water use. So we know that people are using more water in their homes instead of at work or in businesses. Maybe they're cooking for themselves more instead of going to the restaurant, things like that. So we are seeing that on on a system level. So we want to you know, make sure people are thinking about that when they're, you know, when they're making decisions about you know, how to use their water every day. Um, yeah. So one good thing though is that we actually in our region use a lot less water than in other places. Here, a single family home, like a norm, you know, if you're just a homeowner, The average use is about 58 gallons per day, and nationally that's around 100 gallons per day. So in our region, we use a lot less water than in other places. Um,
We
and
talk about that at
yeah,
the Ed Center when we are showing people and they're thinking about, well, how do we make a difference with our drinking water and things like that. People are surprised to find out, though the region has grown, our water use has not. People are being
mhm.
really conservation conscious, and it's in things like that you're talking about make a difference.
Yeah, I think it's something we can all be really proud of and keep going with that. So I think it's actually time for our answer to our Know Your H2O question. Do you have what was the question again, Jourdan?
And let me see. I have to look into 2020 and figure it out. Hmm. I I think the question is, what uses the most water in our homes? I think that's what I see.
Yeah, what appliance or fixture uses the most water in our homes? And if you got the hint earlier, is the toilet. It uses about 24% of the water in our homes. So that's
Um,
it's quite a lot. People are usually surprised to find that out. It's like something we don't think about, flushing the toilet. But actually, the fact that we don't think about it, it means it uses a lot of water, and it can vary a lot depending on the type of toilet you have. So older toilets can use like 5 gallons every single flush. That's like imagine like 5 milk jugs lined up. That's how much water gets used every time you flush. But the
wow.
efficient toilets on the market now use less than 1 gallon per flush. That's less than a milk jug. So it's a pretty big improvement we've made in toilets. So that's pretty cool. So and that's why it can vary a lot from home to home and situation to situation. Um,
My home, I live in an apartment,
okay.
and it's an older apartment. I think I'd be curious to see how much we do use. Um, um, I don't get a separate bill, but maybe I can check in with my landlord
Yeah.
and see. I don't know exactly, but I definitely have an older building. And when you say 5 gallons, the visual on that is actually stunning.
It,
That's an insane amount of water, and
it
it's the
is.
water that we use for drinking as well. It's like one freshwater drinking source.
Yeah, maybe on a future episode we can go into detail about how you can tell how old your toilet is. That's something that I talk about a lot to people, so we'll definitely go into that. In the meantime, if you're watching and you're curious, you can go to savingwater.org and learn more about the types of toilets that are on the market. You can also put in comments any questions you have in comments, and we'll send you to links to helpful information about that. I was going to comment though, Jourdan, one thing about living in an apartment building is that you automatically already use a lot less water. So I was saying how in a single family home, the average is about 58 gallons per person per day. In an apartment, that goes down to about 40 in our area. So you're
Mm,
already likely more conservative than ever. It's just the nature of that, it's a smaller footprint. Um,
I
so
view that.
like you mentioned before though, if you do get a bill, one of the best ways that you can check and see how much water you're using is just to start paying attention to your bill. I think a lot of people are on auto pay and they just sort of hit the accept payment and move on, but it's worthwhile if you get a bill just to take a look. Often there's graphs about your use, or maybe just last month's use, to be able to compare that your use this month to last month, or if you're on a 2-month bill cycle, just compare your use over time. And that can give you kind of alert of changes in behavior. If someone new moves into your home, that'll change your water consumption, things like that. So just to be more aware of your water consumption is really the best first step to conservation, and be just thinking more about how much you're using. And like you said, if you don't get a bill directly, asking your landlord if they're comfortable with you taking a look, um, or just being more aware, like you said, like taking a look at your toilet and asking yourself, is it is my toilet older, and maybe you can just suggest to your landlord, hey, I learned that newer toilets are really more efficient, things like that. um,
It's a good
so
idea.
yeah. um, Yeah, I think those were all the things that I had for us to talk about today. Did you have anything else, Jourdan? Or
No, I think one of the things that I'm going to take away from it is that I can be a little bit more responsible and check in with my, with my landlord, because it might help him too, or them too, whatever the bill might be, to think about it in the future. And yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Cool. Well, if anyone watching has any further questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. We'll get back to you. Um, but and also savingwater.org is a great resource. Again, savingwater.org. We have a lot of information on our website, both about indoor water use and outdoor water use. So we hope to see you there. And in the meantime, we also hope to see you next week. And we thank you for dropping in.
Thank you. Cheers.